in-between person who is,
Mm-hmm.
hoodies and everything.
Fall is beautiful though. That's probably the prettiest time of the year, even like compared to spring. Just the turning of the
colors,
leaves.
yeah,
Yes.
the
It's
colors of the
gorgeous.
leaves, the brightness, and yeah, we usually do a annual photograph trip with my father and my sister when I was in Connecticut, but now it's kind of like, maybe not. But I'm, teaching my husband how to do it because as we drive, I yell stop when I see something.
You're a leafer.
Freaked out. It's like, no, you need to pull over when I yell stop. It doesn't mean go 10 minutes down the road.
Right here, right now.
Yes. Yeah, and when it was my father and my sister, that's what it would be like to the side of the road. And then we'd all pile out and go take pictures of whatever it was. But yeah, I love fall for that reason. But I also love summer because, I'm at the beach. You can't not love the summer when you're at the beach. Even the heat, even the humidity, you've got the ocean.
That's true. Well, as long as you've got a way to cool off, then
Yes.
the summer's okay. But it's when it's
And-
just that unrelenting heat and you have no way to cool down that it's please end.
and the main ocean will cool you down instantly.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
Well, I guess we should get started then since we're already live. So, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink. We are the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And we've got 2 new authors to introduce you to, first timers on our show. Let's do an eeny, meeny, miny, mo here. Cara, introduce yourself to us, please.
I'm Tanya Nagel, and I write as Cara September and Echo North. Cara North, I write primarily 18 and older romance in a variety of genres. September North, I write young adult for mature readers. As Echo North, which has not had anything published yet, it's all like the non-romance, primarily like fantasy stuff that's other fiction that's not like focused on romance. And then as me, I write nonfiction stuff, I give advice that I don't follow, regular writer things.
We never follow our own advice. Never. All right. I like that. We're going to touch on the fact that you've got different names today and how you approach that. But Solo, let's have you introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Monica Leonel. I write a solo storm under contemporary fantasy and paranormal romance, and really anything in the bucket, so like fantasy romance, but like my main things are contemporary fantasy and paranormal romance, and yeah, just excited to be here. So I under Monica Leonel, I also write nonfiction, so.
Well, 3 nonfiction people, and then there's me.
All right, so I've got to ask, because we talked about this on a previous show, how the using pen names is great for segregating your writing, but it creates the necessity to make those individual names their own personality and have their own social media, and that can become kind of daunting if you're managing so many social media accounts with different names. How do you approach it without draining your energy resources?
I don't.
Yeah.
I have like one. I tried that and it was too much because again, like I'm working, I'm just like, oh no. So if someone has the time and that's like your full-time life, your full-time job, and you really need, to do that, then go for it. Or if you have enough money that you can pay someone to set up all that. But for me, like everyone can't be Judy Bloom where you're writing Freckle Juice and Wifey, but I need those names, not necessarily to separate it for other people as much as to separate it for myself. When I'm writing as Cara North, it is a completely different mindset than when I'm writing as September or Echo. Like it helps me almost like get into that author, if I can say, like, get into character. If I were going on stage, like, it's to get into that author when I'm going to the keypad. So I everyone knows they're all under one website, and they've got different tabs. And for my social media, it's all there. But yeah, I don't like. I'm probably, that's probably not the best advice, but or what you're used to hearing. But that's how I do it.
Well, I like that. Instead of like method acting, it's method writing. You know, really dive into that persona. And you're right. It is such a time sink just to manage one author profile across all the platforms that we need to be on. I mean, it's TikTok, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's Facebook,
And
LinkedIn.
remembering which author name, which name you're doing stuff under, what signing. Oh my
Which
God.
would be really bad if a mistake comes up on that, because
I had a mistake signing my car. My car title. At least it was my copy that I did. You know, I'm going through, I'm doing my, you know, my married name, my married name, my married name. And then on the last one, for some, I was thinking about my book and I signed J.E. Taylor. I'm like, oh shit. And she laughed. And I said, I write under this name. And I was thinking about my book and she said, that's okay. It's your copy. But you wrote out. Like, oh my God. So, you know, having multiples, I don't think I would be able to do it. So I give you credit.
And I'm the person who forgets that I have a pen name, and that account gets 0 love. And then I feel bad. Like, dang it, I'm ignoring her.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I you know, I don't post. I think that, yeah, it's sad. I don't think I posted to my pen name account for probably at least a year, which is a problem because I do actually have like new stuff coming out soon, you know. So it is tough to maintain all of those. And the other thing is I'm not really a social media person to begin with. So I think that's like a struggle that I don't think it's just me. I think a lot of authors have that, where we're just like, you know, unless you like really liked social media to begin with, you're probably not posting, even if you like remember to, or, you know, you really have to have a system of some sort, which I know I don't right now. And it's something that I think about every once in a while, like maybe I should get one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's like, okay, I know I should post. What do I post? Well, I don't want to post sales posts all the time because that's just spammy. So I need to post things that are interesting. All right, be interesting on the fly.
Yeah, that's,
you know,
then you're
like,
not.
you know,
so then...
that's like carrying a show for 35 minutes alone.
Like on my, for people who follow me on different social medias, each platform I have almost a different personality, because I'll take, you know, Twitter is where I go and just blow off steam, because for me it's like shouting into the void. Instagram, I tend to post a lot of memes because I think they're funny, and that's just where all of my memes go. I'm not being interesting, but I'm posting interesting things, I guess. And then Facebook is where all the family is, so I know they want the kid pictures and all that stuff. So it's, you know, I don't have a pattern to my, you know, my social media either, and I know I'm not doing it right.
The listing, Rituals and Ruins, that has been the game changer for me as far as like social media goes, because I knew best practice, but I did not follow best practice. But I have been so much more aware and conscious of what I'm doing and making content and posting content, simply because I am part of a team and I don't want to let the team down. Like, I don't want to be the weak link.
See, and when you've got a team helping, you know, craft some ideas for you to post, or things that you know should be looking towards doing, that helps. When you're just a regular, you know, person out there trying to boost your presence, it's daunting.
And I don't know how to do some of this stuff, like the videos and everything else. I'm like,
I don't know how to do the videos either. I don't know how to do those. I do some of the graphics, because I have GIMP, and I'll play on GIMP. I don't have Photoshop, so I'm like this, this amateur trying to do these things. Cara's game changer was the Rituals and Ruins set we're in. Sorry. And yeah, it's tough, and keeping up with the posts, and we all have this regimented schedule that we have to do things on, day in and day out of the week, it's like,
Yeah, it becomes a full-time job to manage multiple platforms, even just with one.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that some of my friends do that it seems to work is they just do like a day at the beginning of the month, or like towards the like in the last week of the month, and they just schedule like a bunch of stuff, and they just spend the whole day like making their graphics, or like finding their graphics. If if you're more consistent, you have a catalog and all that. And so I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something to think about, but then I'm always like, well, I always struggle, because I'm like, well, I know the value in the long term and being consistent. What is the value when I am myself and not inconsistent? And like, I may do this for a month and then like may not do it. It's like it's hard, because you really have to do it for like 6 to 12 months before you really even see a lot of shift, if ever. Like, that's the other thing, is I've sometimes done social media for a while and it didn't really pay off. And so it's hard to justify.
I'm missing consistency. So
yeah,
I start something, I think it's kind of cool, and then I just lose steam, because
it's hard to keep up with.
Well, like Cara, I have a full-time day job. So, it's like, do I write or do I promote? Those, because promoting takes, as you said, time. It's like, where is my time better spent?
And there's no point promoting if you don't get it written.
Exactly.
It's like that meme with the what was it, Cruella DeVille driving and crazy hair, and it's like me trying to manage this, and stay sane. Yeah, no, it's not happening.
which is why I like my Twitter account, because I have everything scheduled daily, and it cycles through, and I have hundreds. It took me a long time to build the hundreds of posts that I have that it cycles through. But it's just like, okay, and my problem is I don't go out there enough.
Yeah, no, this is actually a good comment. Right day, promote day, right day, promote day. Because the reality is that however long it takes you to write a book, like let's say it takes you a month, which is lots of people it takes like way longer than that, but whatever that time is, you do need like a month to do the promo for it. Like that is just like we're kind of like, I think sometimes what I find myself doing is I pack my creation schedule like full, and then I don't have the time to do the promotion, which takes the same amount of time as whatever the book took to create. And that's where I kind of find myself falling. So I don't know if this is supposed to be an episode about like how to do this well, but I only know how to do it poorly.
You know what? We learn from experience. So whether it's good or bad, experience does teach. Now, speaking of that, before we went live, Jane, you said you were experimenting with something that seems to be gaining some traction.
Yeah. On my page, I put I made a simple meme with a blue, just a blue background, a very, the other ones I saw were yellow or black. And I thought, okay, blue is a pleasing color. I love blue. So, hey. Yellow is something that grabs your attention, but blue is something that's calming. So I chose blue, and I did, the just a general meme of how many, 1 point for every series you've watched. And I listed 60 series, 3 rows of 20, and I put it out there. And that generic thing on my page at this point has 1,500 engagements.
Wow.
Which most of my things get, under 100 engagements lately. But I'm hoping that, as it grows, the algorithms around my page will increase. So when I post something else, more people will see it, organically rather than trying to boost things. Because I don't advertise on Facebook yet, because it scares me. I've gotten Amazon ads down pretty well. I don't spend a lot, but I'm until this month, it has been consistent. This month, my ebook sales have just died, but on Amazon. I'm starting to see it on the other places. So it's like, okay. In this house, we don't boost. Okay.
Good rule.
And we mentioned that the kind of, it's not like a complete tide change, because you have people like me who live in cabins who are not going to be able to indulge in that print book buying the way that we maybe used to or love to. But I think certain platforms right now, especially TikTok and even with Instagram, it is really because you can upload the reels there. I think that that touch it, feel it, show it, kind of thing has sort of shifted readers back to print, and it's put a lot of pressure on authors, not just to have print, because there was that whole like print's dead, you need an ebook, so everybody's rushing over to to figure out how to do ebooks, and now they're like, print's coming back, you need a print book, and everyone's like, how do I format a print?
Yeah. No, it's so true.
This craziness, but then it's like next level. This book now has to be beautiful. I'm going to read it on my e-reader, but I'm going to show it on this video and then put it on my shelf.
Like wildly. Yeah.
I have always gotten print books for my books, because I want to hold my book in my hand as an author as well. To get the book, the pretty book, and go, ooh, smell it and everything. Yes, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I do want that physical book in my home. Mm-hmm. And I have thousands of ebooks on my Kindle and in my Kindle account, but I joined the special edition box set recently, and I absolutely love the special editions because they're beautiful hardcover editions. So you still have the people who say, no, I just want it on the e-reader, because honestly, outside of the traditional publishing, our books on e-readers are much less expensive than a trad published book. So
yeah, I agree with you, Cara. Like
yes, pretty much.
I definitely so I was setting up a Kickstarter campaign today, but I was and I teach a Kickstarter course, so I'm looking at these campaigns all the time. But today I was doing one, and it's for five romance books. So I don't know if the readership is there for like kind of a hardcover, like a nice hardcover edition. But a lot of people on Kickstarter are doing these special edition omnibuses, and so I was like, well, maybe I should, put one of them together, and and I also, for this campaign, I'm doing like a tarot deck as well, because it's something that I know how to do from like something else. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure to like not just offer, like a paperback or even just a hardcover, but it's got to be like this blinged out special edition hardcover, and they're really like quite expensive to make, especially if you don't have a huge audience to where you could do like a print run of 1,000 or even a print run of 500. They're very, very expensive. So it's kind of like, well, if the readers want to pay for that, then that's fine. But like, you have to kind of figure that out. So, but yeah, I think it is kind of funny. I started self-publishing in 2009, and I did not know how to do the ebook, but I knew how to format the print book. So I'm kind of lucky, because when it went to ebooks, I struggled to learn that, but now that's going back to print, I'm like, I know how to do this. So
Yeah, you've got a lot more options with print too on what to do just on the page itself.
Yes. I'm learning
Absolutely.
that. I'm playing around with different software for that. I think I have, what's the thing called?
You've got Atticus, right?
Yes, I have Atticus.
Do you
but
have
Atticus doesn't do the size that I want for the special edition.
And it doesn't
for
have
all
as
my fairy
much
tales.
it doesn't have as much flexibility to change things either.
Right.
There's
Exactly.
InDesign, there's the InDesign clone.
Mhm.
I can't remember the name of it. It starts with an A.
Affinity.
Affinity, thank you.
Yes, I have that too because you told me about it.
Yep. And
I just
Affinity's also
haven't
got a
figured it
Photoshop
out.
clone. So if you want to do Photoshop without the subscription, Affinity's photo is
Yep.
the clone of Photoshop, and they also have a Illustrator clone too.
Mhm. Yeah, I haven't gotten the photo one, but the book one I haven't figured out. I'm like,
It takes time. It takes time.
yes, time that I don't have yet.
And that's like the central theme of all of this is that, how do we work our time in the most efficient way to write, to publish, to promote, to do all these things and still have a life?
Yes.
Does anyone else have a Patreon?
I have one that I haven't used in forever because I didn't know how to optimize it and make the best use of it.
So that for me, and again, my Patreon is not huge, and I definitely feel like having a $1 just looking, that's what my $1 is called. It's called just looking, option for people to be able to kind of get in there and explore and, see what's available to them, is important. Like, and then after they've been in there a while, if they really like you, because again, that's kind of what you're selling is yourself. In there, then they might increase, or they may just stick around at $1, which is totally fine with me. But like, I use them as my sounding board. I mean, like these are the people who, whether it's $1, $5, or $25, have decided to back me as an author. And when my first year, I had 3 people, Roxy, Stella, and my mom. That was it. I had 3 people for an entire year, but those 3 people kept me like true to, I need to come over here and do something because they are expecting me to do something. And that's how I figured it out, was with those people. And then it just slowly, kind of built to what it is right now. And
so I'm curious because I'm launching a Patreon, but I did not do a $1 just looking tier. So what does that how does that work?
I let them, my $1 just looking tier gets them access to like the posts. And then anything like above that tier, I do quarterly mailings. And so depending on where you're at with that tier depends on what you're physically going to get in the mail. Because again, everyone likes getting fun mail. And so my first and second quarter tier is, I mean, pretty much everyone's getting, just like postcards and stickers and thank yous and things like that. But my third quarter tier, because I go to Literary Love Savannah every year, and a lot of them also come to that convention, for the people who come, I have special, that's where they get their special, swag pack for me, for third quarter. And then I do a mailer for fourth quarter, and that's where they get kind of like their holiday surprise mailer.
That sounds really fun.
So
all of mine was digital, but I think I might add in the physical rewards. Basically, it sounds really cool.
So if you have different tiers, do you also segment the things that they see on those tiers? Like just looking maybe gets blog posts, but the next tier gets to see advanced chapters or things like that.
You could do that, but again, I'm like low maintenance with that kind of stuff, and I wouldn't remember who to exclude or who to include on posting. So it's like everybody's got to see the post, like that base level. You're going to see whatever I'm writing. That's where it is.
Here's a good question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Would
Margaret,
you consider?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Margaret's asking, would you consider doing a Kickstarter and a Patreon solo?
I've been doing Kickstarter for the last year, and like I said, I have one coming up in October. There's actually on Kickstarter right now. There's a thing that Kickstarter's doing called Witch Starter. So just as a paranormal author who does fantasy and romance, I was like, that sounds really cool. I want to do it. So what you do is you have to prep your campaign to go live. I think it doesn't have to go live in October, but like around October. And I think Kickstarter is really good for kind of like that one-time shot with your fans. So like when somebody goes to Kickstarter, they only have to pay one time. So they, they can, if their budget's $5, they can back to campaign at $5 and they're only charged $5 and then they get their thing. Or if they have $50, then they can. Whereas to me, Patreon is like such an ongoing membership thing. It's not like, oh, I like this person, let me give them $5. It's like, I like this person. Do I want to like be paying $5 every month for either 4 years or until I forget to until I remember to cancel it. And so I think they're really two different things, but I think that they're both really valuable for building a fan base that in a way that retailers doesn't really allow. Because it's like very reader driven. And on Kickstarter too, like in my backer surveys or my backer like updates, I'll ask like, do you want this or do you want this? And then they are really vocal and they do direct and say like, well, we want this. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't going to do that. So it's a good thing I asked you. And it's very helpful to have that fandom and be able to ask, because if they want that, then probably the larger public wants that too.
I've never tried, is it Ko-fi or coffee? Because I know Patreon and Anita has mentioned Ko-fi, coffee.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anybody know how to say that right?
I don't know.
I think they're trying to go for coffee. It's kind of like, that tip jar type of thing where
Ko-fi
you can
rhymes with no fee. So
no fee. Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
That's fun.
Yeah, there's so many of those platforms, and yeah, you see the Ko-fi and I see Patreon pop up a lot, and again, and it's on top of all the other social medias, so there's no one-stop shop.
Yeah, I opened I think a Ko-fi, or Ko-fi, and I completely forgot about it. It's like I opened it, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do some fun things later, and I just.
Maybe not.
Yeah, exactly. With so many things, we have all of these social media platforms that we as authors are expected to master, or expected to at least understand. And, you mentioned TikTok.
Hello. Yeah.
I'm completely lost in TikTok. When somebody says do a duet, I'm like, nobody wants to hear me sing.
Wait, maybe they'll pay us not to sing.
Yes, that would be really good.
I think we do that to ourselves, though. Yeah. I mean, because I know that I would imagine that if, and I always have to remind myself of that, if writing was the income that paid my mortgage, the kind of mastery I would have over many things would be extremely different, because that would be my survival. But because it is not, I guess I have that luxury of just figuring out the things that work for me, and and then just going with that. Like if something stops working, I try something else, and and I mean, I've been published over 14 years, and it's been up, it's been down. Sometimes I can pay off a bill, and sometimes I can pay for a coffee at Starbucks. It's not,
Right.
it's
Exactly.
Yeah, every
the
time I
heyday
get the,
back in 2012 when everybody was buying our ebooks, that was awesome.
I miss those days.
I know.
Now I get that $2 notice for was it Draft to Digital? Your
Yeah.
royalties have arrived. Yes.
Yep. Exactly. Going from helping to pay for my daughter's college to helping to pay for a Starbucks coffee.
It does go up and down, and a lot of it really does go with the flow of social media, but also choosing the right social media at the right time, because it has changed, it has evolved. It used to be Facebook was the place to be, Twitter was the place to be. Now it's TikTok, and it seems like TikTok is really driving all the traffic right now.
Right.
But for how long?
Exactly.
But I feel like these are also kind of like tropes and themes and genres or whatever. It's like it's like fashion, right? Yep. Like if you walk into a store right now, it's like the 70s and 80s are fighting, for your attention. Yes. It's either bell bottoms or like hot pink something. So it's like a clash of the generations or something. I don't know what's going on there, but it's better than the Hunger Games outfits that were last season, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I think that's what happens. So it's always like, don't worry about it, because if this is something that works for you, it probably also works for other people. As long as it works for enough other people, you're gonna find each other. Your readers are gonna eventually find you. What you're writing, if it's not hot right now, is probably gonna be like so much fire in 6 months from now that you can't keep up with it. So just do you.
Margaret says TikTok is powered by the attention of children. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it's world dominating. Listen to an interesting podcast about its dangers. Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube shows about the dangers of what TikTok does, and a lot of our attention is just really being shrunk down.
Yeah, and today's attention, I mean, people have the attention of a gnat today, so this is even worse than that.
Yeah,
you have to catch. I mean, and that goes back to writing. You have to catch them in the first page, otherwise you're lost.
Well, see, now that's changed too, because that in medias res style of writing, of jumping right into the thick of it, wasn't always in vogue. They used to enjoy the character building, world building start, which is now considered too slow.
Yeah,
I miss that. I as a reader prefer that slower start personally, but I have had to change some stuff on my books to make it work better.
But the nice thing about indie publishing is that if it swaps back, you can just re-edit and re-release.
Right.
I tell people like about my cowboy series, I'm like, that is in my Beaufort series. I'm like, this is like contemporary historicals because it's before cell phones.
Yep.
But after, like the internet. So it's in this weird place that some of you don't know about. So when you're reading it, they, like I had someone who was like, why wouldn't she just do this? They didn't have that. We didn't have all of this right now. But it'll, some people appreciate that. They want that. And they'll find it.
Right.
So it's less about trying to be everywhere at all times, and it's more about finding your place and just focusing on that. The before times.
before times.
It's like the after times. It was during times, not Ariel.
It was the in-between time when they had the big ass car phones that looked like they could clock somebody.
You could clock someone with those.
That was a weapon.
You were not driving around with that thing for sure. It's like,
I know.
Who had the big center console car phone?
I did not.
My mom had those. I was like, that is the coolest thing when she got it installed. Now I'm like, oh my God.
I don't think my parents had it either. It took them years to get cell phones.
Some people are early adopters with technology. And I remember my brother, who he was 10 years older than me, when he first got his cell phone, my thought, and I was a kid at the time, and I remember going, why would you want to be so accessible that they can reach you anywhere? Hello today. I mean, I already had a phone call interrupt the show once, and then a text message. It's like, God damn it.
There was the comment about the niche and that and like finding yours. And I think that there's definitely something to that, but I also think that it's something to not let that own you, you know, like I came up in that, this is what you're writing and this is what you're writing. And you can't try anything else. Like if you're a paranormal author, you're a paranormal author, and this is what you're doing until that series runs out of money and everyone hates you because they're tired of reading your characters for that series. But I mean, I think that some people still do that, and that's awesome because that's where their love and their passion is. But I definitely think that knowing where your money's coming from, but still being brave enough to write whatever is inside of you is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what's the advice we always get? Write the story you would want to read. And that's why a lot of us do play in different genres. We don't just stick to one.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I go from horror to young adult to adult to urban fantasy to paranormal romance. I'm all over the board. But yeah, and it's usually the cover that drives me to write the story at this point. Yes. Katie's gonna laugh.
Are you a cover addict?
I envy her cover collection.
Oh yes.
We're gonna take away your credit cards when those cover designers are doing pre-made sales. And
so are you a cover addict? Like
I'm a cover whore. Put it that way.
She sends me messages and goes, tell me to stop, say no, and then sends me this cover. And I'm like, I can't say no. I wish I could get it.
I've been, yeah.
Does everyone hoard covers? Is that,
I do not. No. I do not, because I know that I am probably not going to actually use it. So I have a couple covers right now, but no, like I'm really careful about it. Just because of that, like even to the point where I'm like, oh no, they're having a sale. Like, don't look.
Yeah, don't look. Yeah, I've unsubscribed, not unfollowed, so I don't get notices anymore.
Yeah.
So and that way.
I love that. Is a snob too.
Yeah.
If I had more money, I would probably be a hoarder. I have to wait until I can afford it.
Well, I have the cover for our next series. So no. Katie and I co-wrote a series a while back, and we're going to be covering again at some point when she's ready.
Yeah, we got to come up with something new. It's been too long.
Yep.
I started with like the covers that I had that I'd collected or whatnot, or that I'd seen, that I was like, I'd really like to do that, but I know that I'm not going to be able to write like a full book for it, is what I'd started turning into the anthologies that I've that I've organized, because I just like, I have a bunch of little stories, short stories that that need a home, but like I'm not going to put them out, and so what, that's kind of what I've done with them, just to work with, other authors and collaborate and have friends and do that kind of stuff in a low stress type environment, unlike our Rituals and Ruins, which is a high stress. High stress environment.
A high stress.
Very highly organized, though, which is that to the Marine in me, that was the first thing I was like, oh, I can do this, because
this is
laid. I can just get in line and don't stop. You're and I can do that, but yeah, I can't do chaos or just unknown, because then I'll be off doing my own thing. Like,
yep.
Now the structure of one of those list building anthologies, you guys have a lot of people who are good at certain things that can help really target those areas. I think that's probably, it makes the marketing, I think, a little, I wouldn't say easier, but more streamlined. You know what you're supposed to do. You've got a direct, plan of action that can be focused on, instead of just, I mean, we all throw shit at a wall and hope something sticks. I think is kind of how most of our marketing works as a solo author.
Well, it's
spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet.
Yes. I was going to say, but like some people give, some people give listings grief, and and I know people who give listings grief and whatnot, but I tell them all the time, like, when this isn't like a new situation, right? Like, you individually, the amount of time and money it takes to get your book out there and to get enough sales to hit that, like, that is either like you are a super diamond shining star, someone found you, grabbed you, and then you just exploded into that, or you've built that on your own, and awesome for you. But for the person that is like working or going to school and trying to do this, like, it is no different than when they used to take this New York Times bestselling author, this person you've never heard of, and release an anthology with them. And suddenly this person you never heard of is a New York Times bestselling author. And look, they've got a new novel, New York Times bestselling author. So don't tell me that, Jane Nobody would have got that on her own before. So, like, it's,
yes, I agree.
It's the business of it.
Yeah, and I also think, like, sometimes people are like, "Oh, you spent a lot of ads to get there," and it's like, anybody who's on this list, whether you're going solo or not, you spent ad money to get there, whether it was on this book or right, like, you probably spent ad money on the book that got on there, but you also spent how much ad money to build your audience all the way up to that. So I think that's worth saying as well.
It is very much a pay-to-play system.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, for all of publishing lists, whether you hit a list or not, and also in traditional publishing,
traditional or small press, indie, like it's
got to be visible.
Yeah.
You got to be visible and have something that that what is it? What do they say? You have to see something. How many times?
7 or 8 times,
7 or 8 times before you will act on it. And it's actually true. I've seen some things come through my Facebook 7 or 8 times, and then I'm like, I really do need a blender. I don't have one at home because my blender died. So, it's like, okay, see it after out.
See, I'm the opposite. If I see something 7 or 8 times on Facebook, I'm like, God damn it. And then I report the ad.
But if you see it 7 or 8 times, like repeat, like back to back, like they try to like shove this stuff on you. Like it's every day you're seeing it. You can't see it like that, because then it just becomes like visual, like white noise. Like it's just, whatever. I'm not even paying attention to that anymore. But, like if you see it popping up periodically, which is why it's in all the different places, then that's when you start to pay attention to it, or you start to see it more than once, or
and I know Big Brother's listening. I absolutely know that, because I was at my daughter's house talking to one of her friends, and I turned and my underwire snapped, and I'm like, oh my God, my bra snapped. I'm gonna have to find a new one. Yes, I'm saying this on the show. And after that, I was barraged with bra ads on Facebook, or anywhere I went, it popped up. I'm like, I know I need it, but stop. That's not like you.
That used to be a game before my daughter moved out.
Yes.
She had those Echo things all over her room
Yeah,
and in her
Mercury,
bathroom.
yeah.
And so we would every so often just I'd wander in her room and mention random products. And then she'd come in and do the same thing to me. She'd just mention random products. And they, sure enough, would pop up on social media later. And you'd hear it from like the other room. Oh, I did it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
like the most random things you could think of. And sure enough, an ad would show up for it within like, next couple hours. It's like, oh, seriously.
So
well, as long as they would do that, making sure that all of our stuff like pops up for everyone, because if you're listening, if you're listening, Mark Zuckerberg and whoever the flip else is out there, I would like my USA Today bestselling, because here's the thing for me: if I ever go back into like full-time teaching, who would you rather take your creative writing course from? Dr. Nagel or USA Today bestselling author Cara North? Like, it doesn't matter how much education I have, how long I've been teaching, how many years I've had in this industry. They want that best-selling status.
Yeah. I have 7 under my belt from way back. Pre-COVID.
Yeah. I have a few as well. Yeah.
Huh?
My pen name has one.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing about having pen names is you're like, oh, dang it, now I gotta go do another USA Today bestseller run to get the USA Today again, because it's
which is sad because I've done the list ones years and years ago.
Yeah.
And
I think we were in the same. I think we were in the same one.
Couldn't get it for my regular name, but my pen name got it. God dang it!
That's why I kept mine through the whole thing.
Well, and that's, I mean, like, you have it, like, especially for me, like my real name would be there, but like that would still count as my pen name is, because that would be real for those students too, is to, they're not all going to want everyone at their job knowing who they are and what they're writing. There was a time when, when I did have to keep that stuff separate. But that time is over because I'm too exhausted. Like, I'm just at the point where it's like, I just tell, and with the internet and stuff, like, students were finding me anyway. So they were like, or if I did back then, right, because I had print books, if I did book signings in the area of, Barnes and Noble or whatever, when students would find me, the next thing you know, like everyone knows, so I would just tell them, like, you have to wait until the end of the semester. Because you have to wait till the end of the semester, or deal with it on your own. Deal with it on your own, because nobody's running around asking Stephen King if he's getting his period and blowing up the gym later, right? So why are you running around worrying about what erotic romance writers are doing in their real life?
Yes. That's good.
Oh man.
So, since the 3 of you write nonfiction and fiction, which one do you prefer?
Fiction.
I like both. I can't. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying like I liked one or the other, because I feel like they both feed different parts of me. And I will say that the nonfiction business is it's like bigger right now. Like, and yeah, I won't say by how much, but it's a lot. That's always, so I am doing more in fiction, but it's, it's like, it's kind of like the pen name thing. It's like, when you have to start over, it's not as fun as like doing the thing that you're already like well known for and good at, and like, it comes really easily. You just send an email and like everything's happening, versus the pen name where you're like okay.
Struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have 4 pen names, and I feel like I like go kind of year by year, like, okay, for like the next year I'm kind of like more focused on this one, and then I switch, and so yeah.
Interesting. Cara, how about you?
I think that is very much like Solo explained it. Like it depends on which version of me you're talking to, right? So like me as Tanya, the person who loves encouraging others, and I will like brainstorm you out and get you set up to write a whole bunch of stuff because I'm not writing it, right? So, like I will motivate the hell out of you to write some stuff. I'll be your cheerleader all day long. You got this. While I'm sitting here like, I'm going to get this apple pie. Because I'm not on that same crazy schedule. I've done this too long. But I, like that part of me, like all of my Tanya Nagel stuff is meant to, like connect with and help and encourage someone else to follow their dream, do their thing, and to give themselves the grace and leeway to do it at their own pace and their own way, and to remember that if you have started, you are already ahead of someone else. We're always trying to compare ourselves. Well, it's like if you've started, you're already ahead of someone else. When I taught and I had an 80-year-old student, and she's like, I feel like I'm so behind, and I'm like, there are 18-year-olds right now in high school. You're not behind. You're still ahead of them. Like you do you. You're ahead of them in so many ways, like getting this degree with some 20-year-olds, like, so what? You got this. So that's just an ingrained part of me to do that kind of stuff. And then, Cara North, like my gosh, like I have so much fun writing smut and filthy, dirty things that I would probably break someone's neck if they came at me trying to do. Like, and that's the day. But like even in my younger days when I was flexible and maybe be able to do any of the things that I write, like I'd have the energy for that. Like sexy today is like, I made dinner. Yes, this is sexy right here. Okay. I'm so satisfied. But like, like on the page, like forget it, man. Like I will put some stuff on there that I'm just like I walk away from it and I'm like, I don't know, Cara. Like, yeah, it is like a whole different person's doing that. I don't know. I feel like it's like you're possessed, and all this stuff is going on, and these characters are pushing their way out onto this page, and then it's done, and you're just like, is somebody gonna like that? I don't know. We'll see.
Oh man, yeah, I get that. Like, I don't write smutty stuff, but I used to, but then I kind of shut that pen name down. But for my current pen name, I'm trying to like keep it, pretty clean because like I write some young adult stuff. And like I was writing the story for this, and it's like a mafia angel romance with like a stepbrother, and there's like some kind of like it's like academy. There's some bully. I'm like, how am I gonna write this clean when it's like the mafia? Like the mafia, and like there was just too much. So I was like writing, and I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna play well with my current audience. But so then I like went back through it, and I like had to kind of tame it up, and then I had to like make it more consensual because it was kind of getting into like dubcon non-con territory. Had to make it a little less bully, so it was.
Your other author was coming out.
Yeah,
like, she was creeping up and taking over.
Like, no way, honey! Like you stopped publishing in 2016, and you're not coming back. I don't have time for you. Like it was. I was like, dang. Like, and why are you here again?
Mine actually is a clean story, which shocked my beta reader. I'm like, it's actually pretty clean. There is a couple
Mine is
deaths,
not
but-
as mine is tame. Mine is definitely tame compared to some other things. Like it's
Right.
compared to Harpy,
Mm,
Beast of Magic is
mm.
Yeah,
really tame.
I feel like it's hard to like, you know, especially in an anthology, like you don't quite want to introduce yourself as like, you know, like way over here. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I always feel like a little bit more like, okay, I gotta keep this, you know, more generic for
Yeah.
an anthology.
Well, it's one of the few of my fractured fairy tales that is clean. That, you know, the first one had some, but that was more of a cleaner one. I think you read Red, Katie, right? Yeah. That one was pretty tame. There were some sexual references, but not. Yeah. But this one, there's a kiss, and I'm like,
That's it?
That's it.
Wait, how many people
Sorry.
die? All right, it's more than one, so that's good.
Yeah, it's more than one. It's more than one.
If she isn't like, that's why no one's having sex. She's killing them all.
Well, that's terrible.
Pretty much. But yeah, so I was like, oh wow, this just came out that way. It's one of the few.
And I feel like you have to listen to that. And just like Sola, like sometimes you have to listen to it and you have to put it all out there. And then if you're looking at that and you're just like, and you have a reason, right? Like that's your pen name, that's your market, that's your whole,
Yep.
you know, spectrum
Brand,
there. Like
yeah.
I put out, you know, I don't have a brand. My brand is just me being me, you know, so people know that like, it's going to be what it is. You know, I have sweet stuff that's, you know, that's really nice and wholesome. And then I've got stuff that you're going to need a dictionary for, but it is like an erotic dictionary for it.
I assumed it was an erotic dictionary.
I need to find it out and make it correct. But, you know, like you just know that you got to read the blurb and make sure that you know which version you're gonna get.
Yeah, I think it's fine to do that too. Because like I know a lot of authors who have kind of like the whatever pen name, and then they have like, you know, their pen name that's like really like on, you know, very like right to market romance. And like branded and like and it is a lot of this. I mean, sorry to say, but like a lot of sweet romance authors or clean romance authors, they have like the other pen name, you know, where like anything goes. But what they've always said to me, and like just in general, is, you know, you just have to build trust with your readers. And when you do that, you can say, okay, so this has some bully in it. If you don't like that, you want to skip this one, and we'll be back with the other stuff that you like. But, you know, and I think that can be really good too, is just developing that communication with your audience.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And I think Anne just made a comment about like her horror novels, you know, kind of got into a little bit of spice or whatnot. And like I'm going to tell you, so in the fantasy groups that I'm a part of, so, you know, just it's weird to me, right? Because it's like, get your romance out of my fantasy, and like, get your romance out of my horror, get your romance out. And I'm like, what? Like, first of all, this isn't your fantasy, you know. This is obviously, you know, Cara North or Echo North or, you know, whoever, you know, this is my fantasy, my horror, my whatever it is. So just, you know, go get something that doesn't include it. But when romance is a part of the genre, or you know, in that blurb it has like something that indicates this is going to be in here, like you didn't have to get that book, you know. Right. Like get your expectations out of my novel.
Yeah, true.
And if I got you all fired up, then it's because that romance did its job.
Right.
That's true. If you're reacting, then the author did their job getting you to react.
Yes. absolutely. You know, I when I'm writing a cringe-worthy scene, I want the audience to cringe. When I'm, writing a sad scene, I want the audience to cry.
Yep.
Sometimes
You want
I
them to
cry.
be upset with you. Like you want them to
Yes.
say, like, I can't believe you did that on page blah 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 blah.
Yep.
I can't either. I'm glad we agree.
Yes. Exactly.
That character's such a jerk. I know. Imagine living with that character in your head for that long.
Exactly.
That's right.
I couldn't exercise them, so I wrote them.
That's how you do it.
Yep. True.
All right. Well, we are coming up on the hour. So before we go, is there anything you guys want to talk about, promote, let the audience know is coming out shortly, other than obviously the anthology?
Yes. Do you guys have anything else coming? Just Rituals and Ruins?
I have everything coming out. I have I have been on like an anthology spree because when I was in between jobs, like trying to, relocate here and find everything and realize I can't drive anywhere in the winter. I did a lot of writing. So I had all these short stories. So I have this is like my whole list of stuff. So right now, Mythical Creatures is a YA fantasy, Jocks is a new adult contemporary, Hollow, which will be coming out in July, is a it's all like a collection of Halloween related stories. The Ritual in Ruins, which is coming out in October, Fiesta Nights, which is all Latin American, the Mr. October. I have a military Christmas antho that I do with other veterans and spouses and family members. It's a lot, and the anonymous BDSM. So that's just the beginning of
It's Rituals and Ruins.
Runes.
Runes.
Like, yeah,
runes.
RUNES.
I always say that. Thank you.
Ruins. I say it too, so it's not just you.
I cannot say that for whatever reason. That happens. And I know I see it and I say it as ruins every time. Like I obviously need to go to Stonehenge or something. It's just calling me because I cannot say runes.
And Cara, where can they find you online?
Oh, at www.creativewritingwithdrnagel.com. And it's Nagel like bagel. And
With an N.
And we'll put the link in the show notes after we're done here. All right, Solo, how about you?
Yeah, the thing I have coming up is really the Kickstarter in October. You can go to solostorm.info to take a look. Right now, there's just a pre-launch page because it won't go live till October. But what it is, it's 5 romance novels. It's a Jane Austen retelling of Pride and Prejudice. Not that we need more of those, but we do, because I'm doing one. And so the first book is about the main couple, Elizabeth Bennet and Darcy, and then the other 4 are about each one of her sisters. So they're all standalone. So it'll be really cool. It's a witch. It's reimagining the story as with paranormal elements, witches, that sort of thing. And there's a tarot deck connected to it. So if you like tarot, then it could be really cool as well. So yeah, solostorm.info.
Nice. Jane, how about you?
And of course, I've got Rituals and Runes on October 4th. And I also have Tainted Mind, the 3rd book in Shades of Night. And in December, I have a short story in Starlight, which is an anthology of Christmas stories. It's Joy, which is the prequel to Silent Night. So anybody who's read Silent Night, that's a little short
That's a
story
beautiful cover.
So,
all right. And
and
this week is release week. Finally,
yes.
I know I've been talking about it forever. Friday, Acknowledge and Heal comes out. That's our Women's Guide to PTSD, written by myself and Virginia Cruz. So we are super excited. We'll be doing a live, I believe, on Facebook on release day to talk about it. But this has been so long building this one up.
And it's
finally ready.
If you have any trauma in your life, it's a great book to help. So
I'm hoping it helps lots and lots of people. But that's all I've got coming out right now. And I think that's all we've got for the show. We are off next week.
So
So we'll be back the week after with more people to introduce you to, some more fun conversation. Thank you, Solo. Thank you, Cara. Both of you guys were wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And for everybody out there watching, thank you for all your comments. We will see you next time.